Shall we start? Okay. Okay. Good morning, everybody. So this is the fourth and last lecture about mod L representation. So yesterday, at the end of the third talk, I started explaining what the local Jacob-Langlands correspondence is. So I have defined the essentially square integrable representations, and I denoted by DGT the set of essentially square integrable representations of G up to isomorphism. So it is also called the discrete series of G. Okay, so what is the Jacob-Langlands correspondence? So I need another definition. An element G in the group G. So remind that G is an inner form of GLN F. So an element G in G is said to be elliptic regular if it's a characteristic polynomial. So by definition, the characteristic polynomial is, so there is no determinant on GLMD, there is a reduced norm. So you consider the reduced norm of G minus X time identity. So this is a polynomial. This is a polynomial with coefficients in f of degree n. And G is said to be elliptic regular if this polynomial is irreducible and separable over f. And according to the given an element G, an elliptic regular element in G, so with a characteristic polynomial P, there is always an element H elliptic regular, again, in H, with the same characteristic polynomial. So such that the characteristic polynomial of H is equal to P. And so it derives from the, and so, okay, moreover, such an H is unique up to conjugacy. Up to H conjugacy. And it derives from general theorem of algebra, the Skolem-Noether theorem. It follows that this gives you so there is a bijection between conjugacy classes of in G L reg and H LREG. So this map, which sends the conjugacy class of G to the conjugacy class of H, is a bijection between conjugacy classes of elliptic regular elements in G and conjugacy classes of elliptic regular elements in H. This is specific to elliptic regular elements, you will not by this procedure you will not obtain in general all the conjugacy classes in H. So I need before stating the Jacquet-Langlands correspondence, I need one more definition. So let pi be an irreducible so complex representation of G. So let V denote it's the complex vector space on which G acts through pi. So V is infinite dimensional in general. So one cannot speak of the trace of pi, but given function f compactly supported and locally constant on G, if you consider the following endomorphism, denoted pi of f, which is the endomorphism of V defined as the integral over G of f of G pi of G V dg. So where dg is a fixed R measure on G. So since f is compactly supported and locally constant, this endomorphism has finite rank. So it follows from the fact that f is so locally constant, compactly supported, plus the fact that an irreducible representation is admissible. So the space of its vectors fixed by a given compact open subgroup is finite dimensional. Okay. So now if you consider the map from CC infinity GC to the space of endomorphisms of V, which takes F to so not the endomorphisms but the complex number, and which takes F to the trace of this finite rank operator pi f. It is a linear form, non-zero, and there is a result of Harish-Chandra tells you that there is a locally constant function denoted theta pi such that for all f locally constant compactly supported function on G, the trace of pi f can be written as the integral over. It is enough to consider the open. So I did. The set of elliptic regular elements, the integral of f of g, theta pi of g, dg. And now, so here is the local Jacques-Langlands correspondence, so which is due to so Jacques-Langlands for GL2, Rogawski, Deligne, Kazhdan, Vinieras, and Badulescu in characteristic P. There is a unique bijection from the set of essentially square integrable representation of G to the set of essentially square integrable representations of H, so denoted JL, the Jacques-Langlands correspondence, which is characterized by the following character identity, so such that for all G elliptic regular in G and H elliptic regular in H with the same characteristic polynomial, one has the following identity between the two Harish-Chandra characters. The Harish-Chandra character of pi at G is equal to -1 to the n minus m times the Harish-Chandra character of the Jacques-Langlands transfer of pi at H. So this is the local Jacques-Langlands correspondence. So I will put a subscript C here. So this is the Jacques-Langlands correspondence for complex representations. And now I am going to explain how to deduce from this correspondence a correspondence between L-adic representations, which will allow us to reduce mod L L-adic representations and to study the congruence properties of the Jacques-Langlands correspondence. So the first step is will be to replace C by QL bar. For this, one has to look at the following question. Consider alpha any field automorphism of C. So any automorphism of C, so OC is a huge group. There are many field automorphisms in C. So you take alpha, one of them, and you consider the change of coefficient. So consider, so if pi is irreducible, so consider alpha pi, so which is pi tensor C over C, and the tensor product is taken with respect to this automorphism alpha. So you just conjugate, the field of complex numbers by alpha. So what are the properties which are preserved by this operation? So first, this preserves the fact of being a compact mod center. If you look at the definition of compact mod center representation, it only has to do with the support of the coefficients of the representation. So alpha alpha does not preserve the fact that complex number is 0 or non-zero. So compactness mode center is preserved. And so it implies that cuspidality is preserved, because we know that for irreducible representations, cuspidal is the same as compact mode center. So it preserves cuspidality. It preserves cuspidal irreducible representations. Now. You can check that it is also compatible with parabolic induction. It is not difficult. You just have to look at the definition of parabolic induction. And now, if you look at the classification of essentially square integrable representations by Bernstein and Tadic that I gave you yesterday, you will see that. So thanks. So if you look at the definition of square integrable in terms of being in L2 of G mod Z, it is not obvious a priori. It is not clear a priori that twisting pi by alpha will preserve the fact of being square integrable. But if you look at the Bernstein-Tadic classification, of DGC, this operation preserves the set DGC. And now if you look at the Jacquet-Langlands correspondence, you can check that it also preserves the Jacquet-Langlands correspondence. So what does it mean? If pi prime is, so if pi is in GGC, and if pi prime is its Jacquet-Langlands transfer to DHC, it means that you have theta pi of G equals -1 to the n minus m theta pi prime of H. If you apply the automorphism alpha, you will get theta of alpha pi G equals alpha of this sign times theta alpha pi prime of H. But the sign is +1 or -1, so it will be preserved by alpha, whatever alpha is. And so it tells you that if pi and pi prime correspond to each other through the Jacquet-Langlands correspondence, the same holds for alpha pi and alpha pi prime. So thus, alpha pi GL is equal to alpha pi GL. Okay. Now, fix a field isomorphism iota between C and QL bar. Yes. 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 There is a. Yes. There is. It is. It is entirely determined by this character identity. Yes. 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 Okay. You now fix a field isomorphism between C and QL bar. It looks strange, but it exists. C and QL bar are isomorphic as fields. So you fix such an isomorphism. Of course, it is not unique. If you consider two such isomorphisms, they differ by and some automorphism alpha of C. So thanks to this isomorphism iota, we are going to replace C by QL bar as a field of coefficients of our representations. So denote dg QL bar the set of representations obtained from DGC by replacing C by QL bar via the isomorphism iota. Does it depend on the choice of iota? What we did earlier tells you that it doesn't depend on the choice of iota. If you choose another iota, it will differ from the first one by some alpha. And we said that the twisting by alpha preserves DGC. So DGC, DGQL bar is independent from the choice of iota. It will be the same for the Jacquet-Langlands correspondence. Now, if you replace C by QL bar by using iota again, so similarly, the L-adic Jacquet-Langlands correspondence between DGQL bar and DHQL bar does not depend on the choice of iota. So you have a bijection, so called the L-adic Jacquet-Langlands correspondence. Okay. So now we would like to study the congruence properties of the Jacquet-Langlands correspondence. So it means if you start with pi and pi prime here, which are congruent mod L, we would like to know whether their Jacquet-Langlands transfers are congruent mod L, and vice versa. So first I have to explain properly what it means to be congruent mod L. So first the definition. An irreducible QL bar representation pi v of G is said to be integral if V contains, so you cannot reduce V directly because it is a QL bar vector space. So if V contains a G stable ZL bar lattice. L, say. So what is a ZL bar lattice? ZL bar lattice is a free ZL bar module generated by a QL bar basis of V. If your representation is integral, you can consider, you can reduce the lattice mod L, so meaning that you form the tensor product of L by FL bar over ZL bar, and so this is a smooth FL bar representation of G. what can you say about it? So Vinir has proved that. So such a representation depends on the choice of the lattice. By definition, a representation is integral if it has some lattice, but it can have many lattices. If you make a choice of such a lattice, this representation will depend, in general, of the lattice. But there is the following result. So first, this representation, this smooth representation, has finite length as a smooth FL bar representation of G, and its semi-simplification does not depend on the choice of the lattice. And so it is denoted, so the semi-simplification is denoted RL of pi, and it is called the reduction mod L of pi. So by definition, RL of pi is a direct sum of irreducible FL bar representations. Okay, so now we can define, give the following definition. Two irreducible, so pi prime, irreducible integral QL bar representations of G are said to be congruent mod L if they have the same reduction mod L. So more specifically, we are interested in discrete series representations, in essentially square integrable representations. So there is the following fact: a representation pi in dg QL bar is integral. So there is a very simple integrality property for those representations. Pi is integral if and only if its central character is integral, meaning that the central character pi omega, so which is a character from the center Z, so Zg is f times, from f times to QL bar. So if and only if its central character has values in, so not in QL bar, but in ZL bar. So this criterion is very convenient because it is known that the Jacquet-Langlands correspondence preserves central characters. So since Jacquet-Langlands correspondence preserves central characters, in particular, so the L-adic Jacquet-Langlands correspondence will preserve the fact of being integral. So now I can state the following theorem, which is due to Alberto Minguez and I. let pi prime be two representations in D, G, QL bar, and assume that they are integral. Then they are congruent mod L if and only if their Jacquet-Langlands transfers are congruent mod L. So first notice that the statement makes sense because we know that the Jacquet-Langlands correspondence preserves the fact of being integral. Okay, so how can one prove such a statement? So this is what I would like to explain in the remaining of this lecture. So for this, in order to explain the strategy of the proof, I need to give some more details about the reduction mod L of a discrete series representation of G. What kind of phenomena can occur when you reduce mod L such a representation? Recall that so thanks to the Bernstein-Tadic classification, a representation pi in GG QL bar. So what is true from the such a representation can be written L of rho R for some positive integer R dividing M and rho a cuspidal irreducible QL bar representation of GL M over R of D. So this was stated over C by Bernstein and Tadic, but by applying the isomorphism iota, you can transfer it to QL bar. Okay, and the R rho R is uniquely determined by pi. So first remark, pi is integral if and only if the cuspidal representation rho is integral. So what does it look like when you reduce mod L the representation rho? RL of, so assume all of these representations are integral. Assume pi, thus rho is integral. And let A of pi, or A of rho, denote the length of the reduction mod L of rho. We know that it has finite length by Vinieras theorem. So we have the following formula. There is a cuspidal irreducible FL bar representation rho bar of GL M over R of D, such that the reduction mod L of rho is given by the following formula. It is rho bar plus rho bar twisted by nu bar. I will explain what it is after. Until rho bar twisted by nu bar to the power of A minus 1. Now it is a definition. So we know that RL of rho has finite length, and by definition, A pi is the length of this reduction mode L. Okay, so what is nu bar? Where nu bar is the absolute value of the reduced norm, so absolute value with respect to f modulo L. So it makes sense to reduce this character modulo L because the absolute value of the reduced norm, its values are integer powers of Q. And Q is a power of P, so it is prime to L. So it makes sense to reduce it mod L. You get something non-zero, which is a character. It is a character over FL bar. L rho R, where is it? Here. So I defined this notation yesterday. So L rho R. It is the unique irreducible quotient of the parabolic induction of rho tensor rho nu to the S rho, etc. Okay. So just a remark, such a rho bar is not unique. So you see, if you look at the formula, you see that the reduction mod L of rho, it is just the sum of, you take any irreducible component and you form the sum of all the twists of this component by the powers by powers of nu bar. So such rho bar is not unique. Okay. It is not unique, but whatever the choice you make, rho bar is cuspidal. Rho bar is cuspidal because one can prove that reduction mod L commutes with the parabolic restriction functors. So RL is compatible with parabolic with parabolic restriction functors. It is cuspidal, but now rho bar is cuspidal over FL bar, and we know that there is a difference between cuspidal and supercuspidal. So the question is, so rho bar is always cuspidal, okay, but is it always supercuspidal? So the answer is no. It is not supercuspidal. It need not be supercuspidal, and so this lack of supercuspidality will give us another invariant. The first invariant which interests me is this one, A, and I'm going to introduce a second invariant. So rho bar need not be supercuspidal. So we are going to look at its supercuspidal support. So rho bar occurs. So remind that for GLN and for its inner forms, there is uniqueness of the supercuspidal support. So it makes sense of speaking of the supercuspidal support of rho bar. So rho bar occurs in a parabolically induced representation of the form. So parabolic induction to GL M over R of D of something of the form tau bar tensor tau bar twisted by nu bar to the s of tau bar, and so on until tau bar twisted by nu bar to the s of tau bar, and by definition I denote by b the number of terms in the tensor product. So we and this b it is associated with with rho bar, or I will denote it also b of pi. And so I forgot to say that that tau bar is supercuspidal. It is a supercuspidal representation of GLM over RB of D. So in conclusion, associated with pi, we have two positive integers, a of pi and b of pi, which are two positive integers which occur in the description of the reduction mod L of rho. So once we have defined these two invariants, it is natural to ask what happens to these invariants through the Jacques-Langlands correspondence. So it is not difficult to verify that these two invariants, if you consider them independently, they cannot be invariant under the Jacques-Langlands correspondence because for J equals H, you will always have A of pi equals 1. And at the other extreme, if G is GL1 of D, with the division algebra of dimension n square, so D equals n, then in this case we always have B of pi equals 1. So if you consider A and B independently, they won't be invariant under the Jacques-Langlands correspondence, but the crucial fact is that their product, A times B, will be invariant under the Jacques-Langlands correspondence, and it is a crucial fact is in the proof of this theorem. So I define so WF W pi. By definition, this is the product A of pi times B of pi, and you will see that this will be invariant under the Jacques-Langlands correspondence. It is a crucial fact because this theorem, we are going to prove it by induction on W. So, so I say it again. So we so okay. So we will prove by induction on W that given pi and pi prime integral in dgql bar. So first, pi and pi prime are congruent mod L if and only if their Jacques-Langlands transfers are congruent mod L. And second, W of pi JL is equal to W of pi. So now in the remaining time, I would like to give a sketch of the proof of this theorem. So in order to prove this, for technical reasons that I will explain later, we are not going to consider the Jacques-Langlands correspondence as I introduced it, where the group of so where G is any inner form and the group of yes. No, no. So for GL1D, yes, good question. For GL1D, there is no parabolic induction. So in GL1D, any irreducible representation is supercuspidal. Okay, so usually when you state the Jacques-Langlands correspondence, the group of reference is the one denoted H. It is the split form. It is GLN. Here, for technical reasons, I will change the group of reference. So I fix an inner form. An inner form A of H. So such that how can I say that? Okay, I say that like this. So corresponding to the choice m equals 1. Is it clear like this? So it means that what I want to say is that A is an inner form of the form GL1 of some division algebra. So if you prefer, A is GL1 of some division algebra, so of dimension over F equal to n square. Okay, so in particular, A is a compact mode center. But its center, which is F times. And instead of the usual Jacques-Langlands correspondence, I'm going to consider the following one. So you start with dg QL bar. You apply the Jacques-Langlands correspondence as I have defined it. So you go to dh QL bar. And then you apply the inverse of the Jacques-Langlands correspondence, and you go to D of A QL bar. Okay. And the composite of these two maps, I will denote it. It takes P to some representation that I will denote by P to the A. So again, what I've just did is just change the group of reference of the Jacques-Langlands correspondence. So it is not H anymore, it is this A that I have fixed. And so if I prove this theorem for this modified Jacques-Langlands correspondence, it will amount to prove it in general, because G can be any inner form. N equals 2, yes. So if n equals 2, there are only two inner forms, GL2 and quaternionic divisional algebra. So for n equals 2, A will be the quaternionic divisional algebra. Yes. Well, it depends on G. If G is A, it is the identity. If G is GL2, it is the inverse of the usual Jacques-Lagrange correspondence. So this, I mean, there is nothing important here. It is just a change of viewpoint, which is convenient for technical reasons. And that I will explain if I have enough time at the end of the lecture. Okay. So, first step. So I will not explain it in detail. Maybe I will come back to it at the end if I have enough time. So the first step is to use the theory of Brouwer character for representations of periodic group. For FL bar representations of periodic reductive groups. So very quickly, what is a Brouwer character of an FL bar representation? It is a character. So it is a function theta pi tilde, which lifts the Harish-Chandra character, the Harish-Chandra function that I have defined earlier. But it is not, so it is a function theta which lifts to ZL bar the Harish-Chandra theta pi which takes values in FL bar. So the Brouwer character is not, so it as in the finite group case, the Brouwer character is not defined at any element of the group, but only at elements which have which are L regular in some sense. But I will come back to it later if I have enough time. Okay, so there is, just have in mind that there is, so as in the case of finite groups, there is a theory of Brouwer characters. It is more technical, but it has been developed by that. Okay, and so thanks to this theory of Brouwer character, and thanks to the fact that A is compact mode center, this is why we moved from H to A. One can prove, so to prove that the Jacques-Lagrange correspondence embeds to prove that for all pi prime in dg QL bar integral, pi congruent to pi prime implies pi a congruent to pi prime a. So it is one of the two implications that we want to prove. When we go from G to A. So again, a crucial fact is that A is compact mode center. Okay, so if we denote by O of pi the congruence class of pi, so it is the set of pi prime integral such that pi prime is congruent to pi mod L. This result can be rephrased by saying that the Jacquet-Langlands correspondence embeds O of pi into O of pi A. And we would like to prove that this embedding is a bijection. That is, the image of the congruent class of pi should be the whole congruent class of pi A. So we want to prove that the image by Jacquet-Langlands of the congruent class of pi is equal to the whole of the congruent class of pi A. So now the second step is to use a counting argument to prove that this embedding is a bijection. So for this, so the second step is to compute the cardinality of O of pi. So the first problem is that O of pi is infinite. But it is not a big problem. So O of pi is infinite, but if we count up to an unramified twist, which means that if we consider that two elements in this set are the same if they differ by by a twist by some unramified character, then it becomes a finite set. And it is finite of cardinality. Its cardinality is denoted C of pi. So I need two other invariants associated with pi. So let T of pi be the number of unramified characters of G which leave pi invariant by torsion. So pi twisted by chi remains isomorphic to pi. So it is well known that it is a so that this number is finite, and even that it is that it divides n. And another definition: let V of pi be the L-adic valuation of Q to the T of pi minus 1. So it is the exponent of the maximal power of L, which divides Q to the T of pi minus 1. So we have the following theorem. So we have the following formula. So given pi integral in dgql bar, C of pi, the three invariants I have introduced satisfy the following relation. So C of pi W of pi is equal to, so there are three cases. It is equal to V of pi if W of pi is 1. It is equal to V of pi minus 1 if W of pi is strictly between 1 and L, and it is equal to V of pi L minus 1 over L if W of pi is greater than or equal to L. So you see, it is quite striking that we are able to compute the cardinality of this set in such a precise manner by using numerical invariance associated with pi. So in particular, you will notice that, so it is an important remark, in particular, C of pi is always smaller than or equal to V of pi with equality if and only if W equals 1. So I have to say that this idea of computing the cardinality of this set in order to study the properties of the reduction mod L of representations is initially due to Vineras in her proof of the mod L local Lagrange correspondence. And this idea has been then adapted to the Jacquet-Langlands case. So there is another counting argument which will be required in the proof by induction, which is of a different kind. There is some noise. Okay, so Vineras is less precise. She only proves the analog of this. She does not give such a formula in three parts. Okay, so now so here is another counting result. So let W be some non-negative integer and J be some non-negative rational number. First part of the theorem, the number of pi in DGQL bar up to, so in order to avoid that this number is infinite, we will count these pi up to an unramified twist. So such that W of pi is smaller than or equal to W, and such that the level of pi is smaller than or equal to J, is a finite number. And the second part of the theorem is that this number only depends on W and J, of course, and in Q, L, and N. But you will notice that it does not depend nor on D nor on M. So it does not depend on the inner form you have chosen, but not on the choice of the inner form. G. So just one remark: why is there this level J which occurs? It only occurs in order to make this number finite. If you do not put a bound on the level, you will have infinitely many such representations pi. Before I forget to say so, a remark, it is known that the Jacques-Langlands correspondence preserves the level of representations. So we will be able to control this bound that we put on the level of this representation pi. Now this is step 3. Okay, so where is it? Here. So from step 1, we know that the congruence class of OPI embeds through the Jacques-Langlands correspondence into the congruence class of pi A. We also know that the Jacques-Langlands correspondence is compatible with twisting by a character. So from this embedding, we can deduce that C of pi, so remind that C of pi is the cardinality of OPI up to unramified twist, but there is no harm in taking an unramified twist since it's compatible with Jacques-Langlands. Thus, C of pi is smaller than or equal to C of pi A. Okay. Now look at the definition of T of pi. Since Jacques-Langlands is compatible with unramified twist, T of pi, T will be the same for pi and for its transfer, it's a Jacques-Langlands transfer. So one also has T of pi equals T of pi A. And since the definition of V of pi only depends on T of pi, we have a similar equality for V. V of pi is equal to V of pi A. So this is our starting point. Now, we are going, so first step of the induction process, we start with W equals 1. So suppose, so this is suppose that W of pi equals 1. Okay. Okay, so when W of pi equals 1, look at here, when W of pi equals 1, C of pi is equal to V of pi. Okay, so we have V of pi smaller than, equal C of pi, and C of pi is smaller than or equal to C of pi A. This is here. And remind that for any pi, C of pi is always smaller than or equal to C of pi to V of pi. So here we have C of pi A smaller than or equal to V of pi A. But V of pi A is V of pi. So you see that this series of inequalities is actually a series of equalities. So all the inequalities are equalities. In particular, we get C of pi equals C of pi A, and W of pi A equals W of pi equals 1. Why? Why do we have this latter equality? Because this equality can only occur when W is 1. This one or this one? The last one, yes, the last one derives from, comes from this equality. This equality can only happen, no, sorry. No, it comes from, okay. It comes from this equality. Yes, thank you. Okay, now, by induction, suppose that the theorem holds for all pi such that W of pi is smaller than some integer W. So for some integer W bigger than 1. And let pi be such that W of pi is equal to W, and we want to prove the theorem for such a pi. If you consider the inductive hypothesis and if you consider the second counting argument, counting theorem, if you put these together, it implies that any representation rho, maybe not, yes, any sigma in D of A QL bar. Yeah, so I said it earlier, but I did not write it explicitly. So any irreducible representation of A is supercuspidal. So in particular, it is essentially square integral. So D of A, it is exactly the same as the set of all irreducible representations because A is compact mode center. So any representation will be compact mode center. So any sigma such that W of sigma is smaller than W must be of the form tau to the A for some tau in DGQL bar with W tau smaller than W. So this implies that W of pi, for the pi that we are considering, must be greater than or equal to W. So roughly speaking, so the idea is that if this inequality were not satisfied, if W of pi, so pi, no, sorry, it is not W of pi, it is W of pi A. So you started with a pi such that W of pi is W. If W of pi A were strictly smaller than W, there would be a problem with, so thanks to the inductive hypothesis and thanks to the fact that we can count this number of representations, there would be a problem. There would be a counting. There would be a counting problem. So we have this inequality, and now we are going to look at the case where W is in between 1 and L. So if W is between 1 and L, this theorem tells us that C of pi is equal to V of pi minus 1 divided by W. And we know that since we have this inequality, you see that W of pi a cannot be 1. So for pi a, W of pi a. So again, the upper bound could be either this or that, and the largest is the first one. But V of pi a, we know that it is V of pi. And W of pi a, we know that it is, yes? Here? So no, it is not an equality because it could, so if it were this, it would be an equality, but it might be this, which is smaller. So since I don't know yet in which case I am, this is an inequality. So V of pi is V pi, and W of pi a is greater than or equal to W. So this is smaller than or equal to V of pi a minus 1 over W. And again, the upper bound and the lower bound are the same. So you deduce that all the inequalities are equalities. So again, we deduce that C of pi a is C of pi, and W of pi a is W of pi. And so in particular, a posteriori, now that we know that W of pi a is W, which is in between 1 and L, we deduce that we were in this situation. So now it remains to do the last case, but you see that it will work as in the previous one. So now suppose that W is greater than or equal to A. So it means that C of pi, according to this theorem, C of pi is V of pi times L minus 1 over L W. So again, C of pi is always smaller than or equal to C of pi A. And we know that W of A is always larger than W. So in particular, W of A is larger than L. So in this theorem, we must be in the last case. So we have the following equality. C of A must be V of pi A, L minus 1 over L W of pi A. And again, V of pi A is V of pi. And thanks to this inequality, this is smaller than or equal to V of pi L minus 1 over LW. And again, the upper bound is equal to the lower bound. And we are done. Yes, so does time permit? Okay, I have 5 minutes. Okay. Sorry, in 5 minutes, I have to be very quick, but so roughly speaking, the idea is the following. So the idea is one can, so by using Datz's theory of Brouwer character, one can define a Brouwer character theta pi tilde for any finite length representation pi of G. No need to be irreducible, finite length is enough. And so theta pi tilde is a function, so is defined, so the first has values in ZL bar. It is defined, so it is invariant under G conjugacy. So if you prefer, it is constant on G conjugacy classes, but it is only defined on. Okay, so we are so in the setting of the Jacques-Langlands correspondence, we are only interested in elliptic regular classes. So I will forget about the other classes. So this is defined on elliptic regular element G, such that, so first, G is compact, which means that G is contained in some compact subgroup. So in GLMD, there is a unique maximal compact subgroup, unique up to conjugacy. So since we are only interested in the conjugacy class of G, up to conjugacy, we may assume that such a G is contained in the maximal compact GLM of OD, the ring of integers of D. So once G is in this maximal compact subgroup, we can reduce mod the maximal ideal of D. And so the second condition is that, I will write it here. The second condition is that the image of G in GLM of OD mod its maximal ideal, so which is a finite field of characteristic P, has an order which is prime to P, which is prime to L. And the Brouwer character has the two following properties. First, theta pi tilde mod L is equal to the Harish-Chandra character theta pi restricted to compact L regular element. So compact and L regular means the element which satisfy these two properties. And the second property of the Brouwer character is that if sigma is an integral, irreducible, or finite length, it doesn't matter. Finite length QL bar representation, then we may consider theta tilde of the reduction mod L of sigma, and it is the restriction of the Harish-Chandra character of sigma to compact L regular elements again. And so now, why is it interesting to introduce this inner form A, which is compact mod center? So it is the third property. When G is compact mod center, when G is compact mod center, the morphism of groups theta tilde from the Grothendieck group of finite length representations of G with coefficients in FL bar to the space of locally constant functions with values in ZL bar. So on GL reg compact and L regular, this map is injective. So thanks to injectivity, and together with these two properties of the Brouwer character, one can prove that the conjugacy class of pi embeds into the conjugacy class of pi I. Yeah. So the introducing A is interesting because of this property.